John and Dylan online, two men who are sadly your favorite podcast. You got to do the snaps at the end. If you don't do the snaps at the end, the jingle continues forever, and you don't want that.
Oh, hello, fellow Homo sapiens.
Whoa.
You remember that? You remember that joke from grade 3? You're a Homo sapien.
That joke was done every day by a man who then spent a good deal of his adult life in jail when I was in grade 6.
Or a guy who sells something. I don't know. He's selling insurance. Someone who fell into a career.
Oh, yeah. I got to tell you, all the guys that I went to high school with who went into being contractors, who were super sketchy in their 20s, now best social media output ever. Just like vaguely left of center politics, clearly doing all right, nice family, new development house. Very fun follow. You know what I mean? You guys really turned it around. Get a trade. Do not do what me and Dylan did. Do not go into the arts.
Yeah, it turns out
all your friends are unreliable.
Nobody in the arts. And you're like, oh, yeah.
Before we started, we were about to discuss all the times we hard bombed at the boat show in London. Specifically, I was talking about a time where I fucked up a set at Massey Hall and immediately started smoking after quitting smoking for about 5 days. And there's no better cigarette, by the way, than the one where you're just like, you know what? I do this again.
You know what? It's time for a pack. Yeah, it's so good. You were talking about how vaping inside is back as well.
Vaping inside is back. And not only vaping inside airports and airplanes back. 2 different people admonished in the air.
Really?
I couldn't believe it.
They blew the smoke out in the air.
Literally, we're talking, to paraphrase a term from 2019, thick clouds. Thick clouds. Because also it was Texas. Because here's the thing. There is nowhere more likely to get a video that will go very, very viral on YouTube, but be very, very bad for your YouTube channel than traveling in Texas. Because it's a lot of people that have I've moved from Long Island and now I'm getting into it. It's like the guys that moved to Alberta from the Maritimes in Ontario for the oil boom and now just walk around with 4 divorces and a cold sore scar on their lips, but are really into Christianity now. You know what I mean? That's the vibe of Texas at this point, where it's yeah, I used to be in a polycule, but now I do a lot of TRT, and I'm very into Jocko Willink. Yeah,
well, what was it called? During the pandemic, obviously, Texas made it for refusing the mask mandates.
That's right.
The other thing that came to light was that Texas has never basically legislated a person to do anything. You don't have to wear a seatbelt. Helmets on motorcycles are not legislated, which I kind of agree with. It's hey man, you want to die, you go die. That's cool. It's your right. You were born here. You're a sentient person. If you want to just do Easy Rider and then it costs you your real whole life, do that.
I am fine with that. I'm not so fine with it with seatbelts because your body will fly into other people. And by the way, Texas did eventually pass the seatbelt law. Only New Hampshire there are no laws of for seatbelts.
Die, baby.
Yeah, that's right. Bear in mind, this is the best fact of the world. There are seatbelt laws in Antarctica. There are no seatbelt laws in New Hampshire. And Antarctica doesn't have roads. Let's fucking go. Let's fucking go.
Not yet. Antarctica is going to be pretty sweet in the next 20 years.
Oh, buddy, get ready. It is get ready to see. Listen, we're going to have to really answer some questions in 40 years. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be oh my God, this beautiful paradise at the top and bottom of the world. Have you guys been coming here often? Oh, no, we only just discovered that this is where Atlantis was. Before we had a functioning planet, but now we just have 2 resorts with cool storm views.
Oh. Yeah, they were talking. I was listening to an episode of something about the death of the music festival, and there's all these oh, it got too corporate. They raised ticket prices, but also it's yeah, it's sometimes it's 50 degrees and Celsius, and you die.
Yeah, that's such a good point. It's oh, what killed the music festival? Well, Coachella began being held in the forest valley of the desert, and it didn't move location, but now it takes place in an open flame.
Yeah, yeah. Now essentially they've turned on a microwave just because we're trying to speed up this get the world hot thing, and everyone just wants to be in a microwave.
If they get rid of music festivals, that's like getting rid of the Confederate flag. I'm not going to know which white people to dislike immediately now. Like, this is the nice thing with Burning Man being out there, is just like, if someone says to me, I go to Burning Man, I just put you to one side. You're like, I gotcha. Yeah. Oh, you lie about how much money your parents have. You get over there. Ooh, ooh. Ooh,
yeah, I mean, now I feel like Burning Man in when did it start? Like 2011, right?
Much earlier
Burning Man
than
in
that.
2011 was like the start of influencers and stuff. But now I met someone who talked about their experience at Burning Man, and it's like a lot of influencers. It didn't sell out this year.
No, it's also really, really bad. Like, that's the thing, is like, it used to be an art collective where you'd see like live artists preparing these like desert cars, and it was like really weird and funky. But like, that was 25 years ago. Like, it's one of those things where it's like, when was Burning Man cool? It was like well before anyone knew about it.
Yeah, it's like everything. It was fun for 14 minutes, and then people with money showed up.
Yeah, it's like the wrestling promotion Ring of Honor. It's really fun to talk about when it was good, but let's be honest, there weren't that, like, it's also like ECW. It was like, man, those times.
Dude, Ring of Honor is the king of like, this was great in 2005, and then you watch it in 2005, and it's like BJ Whitmer calling Homicide the N-word, and you're like, okay, maybe not that part. Like, there was a lot of that. There was a lot of like edgelord, like, hey, what did ECW not do because of common sense? Let's do that.
Yeah. But also what was so fun about early Ring of Honor was also that they would be like, this match is about how you drank piss and I had sex with your mom, and it will be contested under the rules of honor.
What was it? Oh, she was talking about how they burned the man. And then like, she was talking about how they burned the man. And then, like, I guess a part of the man fell off, and it was just a big burning cross in the desert. And she was like,
oh, no.
Like, what is it?
Oh, no.
It's super funny, because it's like, yeah, the man. But it's supposed to be like an arts festival. I'm trying to see when it started, to be real. 86.
Yeah. Like, I feel like, because I think it was...
It's probably like Edinburgh. It's like Edinburgh was like cool when it was like, whoa, I'm covered in paint and I'm doing Shakespeare in the middle of the park. And then now it's like, it costs you $6,000 for the paint, and even saying the word Shakespeare is a tax of 60 pounds.
What's so crazy is like, you haven't also been there in like 7 years. You haven't seen like the weird crash when all the accommodation got super expensive. You haven't seen like...
I was there for the start of it. I mean, I slept in a living room.
What the hell happened there?
I don't know. You teleported. Everyone watching this, I think your camera must have died, because that was just a side view of your head.
And now I can't change my camera? What the hell? Now I just look like I'm coming to you from one of those videos that ends in my beheading.
It does look like, yeah, you're about to be beheaded to the Benny Hill theme.
Well, we're pivoting. We're pivoting over here. I really like this... I like this little plot twist in the podcast. Yeah, we were talking about 2005. This is what a video podcast would be in 2005. You're going to
have to turn your whole body towards this. Is fascinating. No. Is there a way to do it?
Yeah, I got it. I just got to move you over here. There we go. Whoa, there we are.
This is fun. Anyway, whatever. So, when I was there, it cost me £1,500 to sleep on a couch. It wasn't even a couch; it was an air mattress.
Well, wait. You had some crazy accommodation. Was that the apartment where the man was pissing out the window every day?
No, that was that time I got to sleep in a bed. That was a rich man who was like, I really don't want to do this festival. And then one of our housemates, Evan, tried to get on him, like, you should do it, and give him like a whole rah-rah speech. And he was like, nah. And I wish at that point in my life I would have been like, yeah, man, nah. Like, let the man live his dreams of buying us food.
Yeah. He thinks that being in show business is knowing us, and that means we don't have to pay for these garlic knots.
That is so true. Of like, when people like the gap, people don't realize when you get into stand-up, the gap between, like, let's say Bill Burr and us, where it's like everyone thinks that, like, they see you do well and they think, well, he's like almost there. And it's like, there's so many people that are good at this. You're so, like, when people are first getting in comedy, I'm like, have a Instagram that's popular start a comedy show or be funny. There's the 3 ways to get on shows, and honestly, being funny doesn't even count. So just get on.
Yeah.
Get a show.
100%. Also, like you just don't listen to anyone's advice. Anyone that is remotely close to you starting, do not listen to any of their advice. It is all insane, based off of something they misheard on a podcast.
Yeah, if they're talking to you, if they're talking to you, they've in some way failed.
Yeah, and
they shouldn't be talking. They shouldn't have if they're successful, they shouldn't have the time to talk to an open micer. Yeah,
100%. And also, you have to remember that so many of those people, their goal is not to succeed. Their goal is to hold you back.
Ooh,
because they want you down in the depths with them, baby.
They want to suck your dick in the mud.
They want to suck your dick in the depths. They want to suck your dick in the deep waters because they love.
It does. So there always produces a still frame image for this show, and since your camera died, the still frame for you it looks like your parents tried to get you jacking off and they were successful.
I was going to say, it looks like someone took a still frame as the FBI is about to raid my computer room. Don't touch that hard drive. That's where my crypto is.
Don't touch the fucking hard drive. Anyway.
Don't touch it. Yeah, so people are... Okay, let's circle back to this. I want to talk about the sheer amount of people I'm seeing...
John, some ideas.
Vaping inside. Let's start with that.
Oh, you want that? Is that her? I think that would be a sweet festival of like vaping inside. Yeah.
Oh my God! Here's the thing that's crazy is in our lifetime we're gonna see cigarette clubs. I swear to God. You know how like cigars at one point were just a thing people did, and now it's like if you're in a upper middle class neighborhood, the mall will for some reason include a cigar club, which is just a place with a leather chair, a fat man sits and smokes a cigar.
Oh yes, at least the man is at least 300 is like low end.
Yeah, exactly. It's one of those things where, and it's like, and we're talking that is just a guy whose doctor is angry at him. I told you.
I told you to stop this. You kept going. And the thing I'm angry about is that you're still alive because it flies in the face of everything I was taught.
Yeah, this is, you are somehow making me an asshole and you ate jalapeno poppers in front of me during a physical. I'm a king.
You know something I thought about 8 years ago that I thought, because I'm always on, check it out. I'm always on ever since COVID, I was like, that was the time in my life I should have gone into some scams. Like I should have stopped everything and become scamming. And one scam that I thought of that no one's ever done that I still think there might be money in is very expensive vape juice. Like as vaping gets older and for older people, like there's like people in their 50s and 60s who stop cigarettes and never get off nicotine. They just vape. It's like they should have fucking. This one has camel hair in it.
I can even tell you how to launch it.
Tell me how to launch it.
You need to get one member of the hip hop community to mention it in one song. $1 billion idea.
Really, I was thinking of like paying Lex Friedman to do it.
That's the 2-pronged attack. Well, that is hip hop now for Gen Z. Gen Z's hip hop is podcasts. It's a thing where a bunch of people pretend that they've done a lot more crime than they actually have.
Don't say that. No, the podcast is the opposite. Is where it's someone who's pretending they're not actively committing crime against you.
Yeah.
No, this will help you. It's called Gementine, and it's a serum that gives you diarrhea. But the benefits of the diarrhea is it's flushing out all your electrolytes and replacing them with cancer.
I really want to start really pitching weird shit like diarrhea is good. Have you heard of the cleanse?
We were popular enough where it was like we could have a subreddit that if you read it, we're like, we took all the money from the scams, and then it's just like we only take super obvious scams. Like, do you know what the UFC has done where they've gone away from Manscaped? Do you know this?
Which scam? I don't know about their Manscaped scam, but
the Manscaped one is good because there's a guy. They went away from Manscaped. So now they have another razor for your nuts thing, but it's run by the guy who owns the Daily Wire. So it's like they're tired of woke razors or something. I don't know. I guess if you're a trans person and you try and use it it just kills you. I don't know.
Like fucking show up and talk to me about Jeremy's Club Razors. You better fucking come with facts. So
I just don't think Jeremy's a good conservative name. Jeremy sounds like a guy who had you know what I mean? Like a dad who kissed him on the lips till he was 18.
There's nothing that says my dad kissed me on the lips until I was 18 more than the man Jeremy Boring. His name is literally Jeremy Boring.
I can't believe that that's a thing.
He's the president of the Daily Wire. Yes. Harry Shave Club was like, hey, things are getting a bit crazy during the BLM protests in 2020 because the Daily Wire is like, everyone should be shot participating in these. And they were like, hey, we're a shaving company and we just advertise on podcasts because that's where men are. We're out. And then they were like, you cannot be out. Fuck you. We're starting our own fucking razor company. And
that's so they start nuts.
It's so petty and nuts. And it's one of those things where none of these brands do very well because all these media properties are just propped up by billionaires giving them a bunch of money, and then they spend it on Google ads to constantly show their content so their numbers are really, really good. But it's like they make way less money than their views would indicate because it's all kind of fucking rigged. So they have all these like extra companies and products, but they constantly have to do things like pivot. And so the UFC, the official ball shaver of the UFC is Jeremy's Club because it gives it the perception of growth. But like no one is like, you know who I need to get my razors from? Ben Shapiro's friend. You know what I'm saying? Like,
it is a way to like. This is the interesting thing is if you're advertising a liberal product. If I was to advertise a liberal product to you, and be like, the most woke razors of all fucking time.
I also hate that. Yeah, it doesn't cut your beard. Go ahead.
It doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't cut your beard. It just makes you more aware that you have one.
Yeah.
Anyway, you would need to be like give someone the money to be like, where does the money go? Someone would ask, and you'd be like, 5% goes to the forests, and then the forests would be like a charity you made up that's just a shell company for your taxes or whatever. But you still need to like at least say it goes somewhere. That's what I like about the right wing companies. They're like, no, it goes to me because I'm big and I'm strong. And people are like, that's cool. I like that you keep all the money.
It's a good point. I do. It's one of those things where it's like there's a vibe to everything right now, which is just like, you know, the song America Hell Yeah. What if we just believed that? It's like, I mean, this isn't true, but the reality you guys are attempting to live in seems relaxing for all of you guys being so stressed out. Do you know what I'm saying? Where they're like, yeah, we're getting back to core values where everyone was angry and your dad didn't leave when you were 10 because of your teacher. You're like, that really seems like that's about you. Use these razors or mommy is going to start bringing home Brad again. Again, this really feels about
you. Yeah, I mean, it is like an interesting thing where I feel like they made it it's like a meme. Like, this is very niche, but
go ahead.
I feel like someone saw the 3 vulgar videos from hell Pantera did and just made like a belief system around it. Where like, people are trying to stop me from doing that, and I want to stop. For those of you who haven't seen the 3 vulgar videos from hell. It's got everything that would become YouTube on it, but from the 90s. So it's like a guy gets drunk and drives a pickup truck full speed into a steel grate fence. A guy pops a cyst on someone else's butt for some reason. Like, I remember that. There was like a cyst popping on a butt, and it flew in the air. Then the fluid just like flew everywhere, and then they were like, cool, and then they kicked the guy in the ass after they popped the cyst.
Yes.
And then Phil Anselmo talking about how he wanted to make something that grooves, but it's also heavy as fuck. That gave me a chill down my spine about like, you know, when you realize someone, just because they make something you like doesn't mean that you would want to hang out with them.
What's very interesting is I'm now 1 degree separation away from Phil Anselmo. A friend of mine occasionally opens for him, and I was like, what's that like? And he was like, let me just say this, Phil Anselmo's house is exactly what you think Phil Anselmo's house would be like. And I'm like, I've never not known what an answer meant and totally known what an answer meant ever in my entire life.
Yeah, I don't know, I'm just imagining things I would like now.
Yeah, I feel like, just a totally... Why is there no furniture in here? There's not very many guests. Oh, if you got to be able to design your own house, we're talking big rooms, everything painted black, no furniture, just a bunch of screens, and it's very hard to find you. That would be your perfect house.
Oh, it's a maze, and at the end of the maze, is some porns I like.
Why are there so many Lil' Kim posters? Oh, those are the ones that are official issue. You haven't seen the ones he had printed via AI. Oh my God. Why is she topless but have the bottom of a race car? He's into some weird shit.
No, I guarantee anyone who had like a house that they're like, oh, this isn't the one I want, it would start out like what you like, and then eventually I'd get lazy and it would just be a piece of shit. Here's something that I guarantee you didn't know was on IMDB. There is and I don't know if they intended it this way, but there's something called a metoo hit list, and it's like a ranking of the people being metoo'd.
What are you talking about?
So I'm going to send you this.
Oh my God.
Over Messenger, and it's crazy.
Oh my God.
So I think the intent is like, I don't know what the intent is. The intent is maybe here's like a aggregator of all the people who have been metoo'd, but what it is it's a 1 to 100, just like the list of greatest movies of all time, and it's just people being metoo'd, and there's like the way it shows that people are rising and falling down the charts. So number 1 right now is P. Diddy, and then number 2 is Vince McMahon, and the way they phrase it is the Me Too hit list, which makes it seem like the guy who runs IMDb is like, I'm not fucking buying any of these fucking stories.
Yeah, it's a very interesting also read. Also the fact Joe Biden's number 13 right after Donald Trump, and I'm just like, internet be interneting once again, my friends.
But like, who does this? Someone like votes like,
Man, you have to. Have you been on Reddit? You understand what people like. Ladies and gentlemen, we are at the end of capitalism. The people in those offices are not doing work; they're doing stuff like this. And you know what?
Bill Clinton. Yeah, here's number 11 is Bill Clinton. Trump is 12. Then Biden is 13. Clarence Thomas is 14. Then Brett Kavanaugh.
I mean, this is a wild list. In the 90s, fascinating. Here's 90 to 95. Tom Sizemore, Matthew Broderick, John Singleton, Gary Shandling, Boy George, who went to jail, Prince, the Red Hot Chili Peppers, Anthony Kiedis, Flea, Chad Smith, Al Green. And 101?
Al Green.
Sean Connery.
They're nuts, dude. Here's number 27 is Anthony Anderson. He is 1 behind Andrew Tate.
Oh my
Andrew
God.
Tate, who's actively Oliver Stone, like Andrew Tate has actively done has like actively sex trafficked people, and he's still behind Kobe Bryant.
I want to just point out, it's also really funny. You can tell again who's making this and who's editing it. Like Andrew Tate's like, a self-described misogynist is noted for his harsh comedy actions and alleged behaviors towards women. He is currently under investigation for human trafficking. It's like, it's so much more than that. And then you like Anthony Anderson, although his accusations seem pretty nuts.
Yeah, I didn't know anything about the Anthony Anderson ones at all. But yeah, I mean, this is great because there's no women, so whoever wrote this list is clearly fucking biased.
Whoa, Garth right. Brooks? Oh yeah, that stylist. I forgot about him.
Oh no, there's a woman.
Oh, of course. Well, it's T.I.'s wife.
Yeah, T.I. and his wife are back to back.
They're back to back. Yes, well, because she was his procurer. Listen, I sat down with a bunch of black comedians, and one of them turned to me and went, "You know that black people have our own versions of conspiracy theories," and I went, I'm going to need all of those right now. And then one of them is T.I. is the Illuminati. He's the black Jeffrey Epstein. So there's Jeffrey Epstein for white people. And then T.I. was doing the same thing, but for black people.
You think so? Oh, apparently Cuba Gooding Jr. is a real piece of shit.
Cuba Gooding Jr. Dylan, are you not keeping up with the various internet comedy? He was like P Diddy, one of the P Diddy guys. He's up there with Ashton Kutcher and Jay-Z. Very worried about it. Also, big contributors to the DNC. It's all connected. Nancy Pelosi loves white. She was at the white party. Number 6. That's her number 1 in her address. 6, most important number. King number. She wants to be king. All hail Donald Trump. Go ahead.
The weird, this is the crazy thing I think about the Diddy thing is that some of the baby oil he had was laced with GHB, which he didn't know if it worked. He was just like, we got all this spare GHB, might as well put some of it in the baby oil, which is crazy to me. It's like, put it in the cat food. Maybe I want to bang a cat later.
Here's what I think about Howard Stern, and I remember listening to this, went to one of Diddy's parties, but wasn't allowed inside. He's like, you were outside the party? Was one level of celebrity. He was just like, all I wanted to do was get inside that house. And I'm just like, Howard Stern, your career survived doing blackface, but I don't think it would have survived participating in a freak off.
I think that part of me thinks that Howard Stern, he's like, they left him outside because, and this, I don't mean this to mean like he's a good person. I just think he would have talked about it. They're like, this guy's on the radio for 3 hours a day. He would just like been like, yeah, and then Diddy had all these things he was forcing down people's throat. Anyway, yeah. I blacked out and I woke up.
I woke up here at the radio station. Oh, hi. Oh, Robin.
Yeah, exactly.
Robin.
Me and Robin were there. They wouldn't let Robin.
Isn't that right, Robin?
Yes, please keep going. Yeah, but the metoo hit list was like, coming in at number 8, the best at sodomy. Like, it's fucking crazy.
Here's my question, though. Who's the Here's the worst person to be on the metoo hit list of all. I will say this is the very last person. Like, who's the one that was like, they could have left me off, but they didn't? Scott Stringer, whoever the fuck that is.
Well, it's also like,
he was a candidate for mayor in New York City.
It's so nuts. It's like, what's it? Sorry, just like the ranking of them is crazy. Like 109 is Thomas Middletich, who was crazy. Who was from Silicon Valley, was accused of harassing people, and then number 110 is Chris D'Elia, who's like accused of having a sex cult with like children in it. What the fuck are you talking about? You know?
I mean, the very War Machine is number 210, and it's like he's currently serving 36 years for one of the most aggressive assaults the state of Nevada has ever seen. And you're like, I feel like he could be higher.
Yeah, exactly. Here's Johnny Rapid. Don't know who that is. 2014 was arrested for alleged assault on his then wife, who refused to organize a threesome with another girl who was 14. And then like 202 is a senator, so I'm sure it's but Afro Man is number 200.
What?
Afro Man, because he punched a woman at a concert in 2015.
I mean, did he do that because he got high?
He tried to have sex with a 14-year-old and abused his wife, punched a lady at a concert. I mean, let's not compare bad things, but like, let's compare bad things. You know what I mean? Anyway, John, here's another one of my favorite things. Do you know how everyone is desperately trying to make it on the internet?
Of course. What do you think we're doing here? Why do you think that I changed my camera? We're going the opposite. Most people going more.
This is going to be the video that breaks us, talking for about an hour about random hog shit.
Yeah, that's exactly correct. But
the important thing is you have to be very niche and know a lot about the niche, and we're doing the thing that you shouldn't do at all, which is talk a bit about everything.
Listen,
so here it is.
At this point, though, everyone's talking about things in such detail. Someone's going to really like a little bit of quick 2 sentences you can drop at a party. Hummus is delicious. Don't know anything about it. Goodbye.
Did you know? Yeah, here's something fun to bring up at a party. Did you know IMDB has a list of all the people being Me Too'd?
Hey,
I want to hang out with this guy more.
I have
problems with the list. I've made my own list.
Yeah.
Here it is.
Here's my issue with the list. First of all, it doesn't seem like they're updating it in terms of who's trying to get back into the public view. That's the list I want. Yeah. And may I just say, Kevin Spacey's number 1 on that list, and it is the most embarrassing set of podcast appearances I've ever seen, and 2024 was a competitive year for that. Everywhere else, you'll look, it's a presidential nominee, and then it's just Kevin Spacey talking to a guy who knows a lot about physics, about times he met Jack Nicholson. You're just like, what world do we live in?
It is cool, though, that like on these press tours, people have to go on podcasts. Like, because I watched one Timothée Chalamet clip, so now all my feed was Timothée Chalamet for a bit, and it's like Timothée Chalamet just seems like a genuinely like fun, cool guy, which I wouldn't have known about. Versus like imagine if this type of media was ported to the 90s, how quickly we would have known Steven Seagal was insane.
I mean, it's what's interesting is I think it is also letting us know which celebrities are insane are the ones that do not do podcast press tours. Like, it's very funny if you want, like Timothée Chalamet, to your point, they're like, this guy's charming, he can do a podcast press tour. I would like to note who they keep away from podcasts, and that is Dave Bautista. There's something about a guy who has thrice collected and lost lunch boxes that you know is going to get into some shit on the podcast. Like the kind of guy that will look down a camera and go, RFK doesn't go far enough with the vaccines for me. Like, you're just like, oh no, there goes that investment.
Well, no, Dave Bautista is the left one. He's the only guy who does sit-ups in Hollywood that is left-wing.
I don't trust it. I'm aware that he's left-leaning.
I don't trust it. That's the problem. That's the problem with liberalism, is that every time someone is a liberal, people are like, no, he's not. And then
all right,
someone
Chloe,
comes out and is
okay,
like, fucking,
all right.
It's true.
Hammocks are for laying in. They're not for underwear, you hippy-dippy motherfucker.
I'm just saying. I think he believes what he thinks.
I don't think he does. Here's the thing. I don't trust anyone who talks about eating food as much as Dave Bautista does. Whenever he's asked about a serious acting role, he always pivots to his meal schedule while shooting the movie. There's something about this guy where I'm like, I don't trust it. I just feel like there would be one part of him where you're like, yeah, I agree with everything. And then he just turns to you and goes, and you should be allowed to marry 14-year-olds. And you're like, shit, there we go, Dave. Yeah, fuck. They got to you too during wrestling, didn't they?
Here's another fun one. Okay. So there's a guy, are you familiar with the YouTube channel Punk Rock MBA?
I am not. But you did already send this to me and I gave it a little look. So I sort of feel like I want you to explain it to me.
So Punk Rock MBA is basically a guy whose YouTube channel where he'll write the rise and fall of NoFX or like the unbelievable story of Alien Ant Farm. And he stopped doing the channel a couple months ago. And everyone wanted to know why, because he has a bunch of subscribers. He's found a niche in like basically doing these 30-minute shitty biographies of punk bands where it's like whatever. And then he did a podcast afterwards and just went, yeah, I quit. I hate music. I don't like any people that like music. It sucks. And then they're like, but what about like, you know, obviously you like punk music and da-da-da-da. And then he's like, no, I don't. And they go, well, how did you did a punk channel for like years. How did you do it? And he's like, I read Wikipedia. What are you talking about? I don't have any opinions on this. Every time I did a show where it was like, you know, the ones where you don't research anything, where he's just giving opinions on music, he would just give opinions on music from which he has a marketing background. So we just talk about marketing basically. And here's why punk isn't as good as it was. And he would just use marketing speak or whatever. And everyone in the comments is like, yeah, man, whatever. Anyway. And he just said, I reached my financial goals. I don't like anyone here. I don't like anyone in the space. And I'm done now.
It's very funny in that you watch I didn't know any of this. I just watched some of his videos because you were like, hey, let's talk about these things. So I watched a couple of them last night. And I am a nerd for this stuff. And I was like, this is all Wikipedia information. Like, why are you stressing? It's like, and then Henry Rollins joined a little band called Black Flag. It's like, who the fuck doesn't know that? Like, it was eye-opening for me to watch because I was like, yeah, I don't think this guy, but it's that thing of like, I'm aware of all of this stuff because I'm my age and he's our age. But there's a bunch of people that are much younger than us that were never exposed to. They didn't have a bald guy who showed up at their high school party that was like, this music sucks. And you're like, he's wearing a leather jacket. Let's ask him what music he likes. You know what I'm saying? They had to get that from a dude who wore a hat that doesn't fit. And yeah, but here's the thing with YouTube and everything. It's all fake. It's all fucking fugazi. It's all porn. Everything is porn.
Whoa, okay.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah. In that they're not really enjoying that sex. They're just there for money. In that, like, anyone who's like, okay. It's in the same way that, like, look up historians on YouTube. There's this guy, Ray Cardona, or whatever his fucking name is. He's really big on TikTok. He's got, like, a very thin, scraggly beard. And he got called on, someone was like, what you're saying is not historically accurate. And he was like, I'm reading between the lines as a historian. I can do that because I've researched it enough. And it's like, no, you're just giving opinions, but you just say I'm a historian beforehand. The same way that this guy is like, you assumed I care about all of this. All I care about is money for an investment property because I am a grifter. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah. And also, like, it makes way more sense. This is a weird thing about doing the wrestler review is I always felt like we were pissing people off because we would just do a podcast and then work the information in. versus like what he's doing, which was just do Wikipedia about it. But anyway, I just thought it was fucking hilarious that he, like, after years of pretending, like, he could have, like, this is the weird thing is, like, his channel obviously be still being active. Like, people are still going to watch those videos, and he could have, like, just pretended that he still liked it, but he needed to tell people who liked him.
Here's the question, though, Dylan. Do you think we get more information about this moving forward? In that, I think you would only
it's just a bunch of people talking about the punk rock MBA situation, and then former fans of his being upset. Because here's the thing this goes to something about like hanging out in circles with music snobs in my 20s, in late teens, is that tricking a bunch of people in punk who all they care about is authenticity, that you are authentic, and then being like, I tricked you all, suck one, is so good to me.
I completely agree with you. And a version of this that I still enjoy every day is the fall of UCB from comedy. So when Dylan and I were coming up, and like there used to be like, now, if you're going into comedy, basically everyone just goes into stand-up or just does stuff on social media. But there was a time when you would go into improv. And one of the big progenitors of that were the UCB that were always about like, hey, you donate into it, but it's a community. We're building this community. It's all about like purity of comedy and truth. And in the end, like one of them was basically using one of the venues to store his generational wealth family's art. And they did a bunch of COVID embezzlement, and then as soon as they could, dipped and sold to venture capitalists. Like, it is one of the most like we're all hippies spelled here, initiating profit, please. Like, it's like so fucking insane, and it's so funny because like there are like I was talking to someone who was at the like Zoom when they told all their teachers, and people were like, I could have had a mortgage. I gave you my 30s. Being a teacher of improv, and it's just like, oh, you've pissed off the wrong people. They volunteer to be moderators of Reddit groups, motherfuckers. Do not do this. You're done. You're fucking done.
It is interesting where like I started teaching a stand-up class a couple times a week, and then like what the different teachers will tell them sometimes to keep them in the system, or it's like, why should we take the second thing? And I know fully well I should just be like, bullshit some answer or whatever, but I'm always like, do a bunch more and see if you like this.
Yeah.
Because they're like, improv's like more fun because you get to be on stage with people, and I have to be like, yeah, it is. Anyway, go up there and bomb, and no one's going to talk to you for the first, I'd say 6 months. Oh,
and the people that do talk to you, do not be friends with those people. Oh, yeah.
In any girl, I'm like, if a man talks to you, like, act like it's in an alley at 2 a.m.
Yeah, because that's, by the way, where they're trying to get you.
Yeah, you should like pretty much mace them inside.
Yeah, like treat it like a prison yard. The biggest one, just mace him. Doesn't have to be the face. Crotch mace him.
You treat it like a prison yard. As soon as you go inside, find the person wearing you know what actually the rule of stand-up is? Find someone wearing a warm weather jacket inside in the summer and attack them. That is the person.
You've nailed it. Especially that's a very specific to Toronto point, but that is the absolute. You have fucking beat the shit out of that guy. I was actually thinking
like a spring coat. Pardon me, like a spring coat.
Yeah,
it's like 30 outside, but you're still wearing your spring coat inside. It's like,
just fucking roundhouse kick that fucking guy. I'm literally picturing three different. I'm picturing 3 different guys who are specifically of Toronto, specifically in the Rivoli, who were dressed like this. All of whom really deserve a roundhouse kick to the peaches, like just an absolute zero.
Oh,
that's the one thing though. Is, as stand-up is facing its inevitable downturn, we have lost a lot of the real creeper characters because it's just not the same. It's not the same vibe, and also Kill Tony has vacuumed them out of Los Angeles. It's really, really interesting. All the lunatics are just so
funny.
I know what to do.
The like, you can tell. Which I mean, it is Kill Tony is weirdly like. If you got into the ground floor of Kill Tony, that was probably like the new way to do TikTok. We're like people when people were on TikTok and not just creators. And then you do Kill Tony I think it's it might be cooked now, but for a minute it was like, you do kill Tony, your name genuinely gets drawn to the bucket, you get 700,000 followers in a minute, even though you're a pro-am person, and now everyone, moving to Austin to take that thing. But the other thing is, it must be like, where are all the edgelords? Like, the edgelords are now in one place, and we're going to lose some good people, but we could just like dome it off, and then they just kind of bounce off each other.
Yeah. I mean, it feels like that's what's sort of happening, by the way, is that like LA is in a time of reinvention. Austin is just like, it's going to be 2020. It's going to be 2019/2003 forever. Say it. Say the word. And New York is just sort of is like London, where it's like there's just a shitload of people and their living rooms are too small. They need to fucking laugh, so we got clubs. Like, that's the thing people never figure out. It's like, why do these big horrible cities breed so many comedy clubs? And it's like, because people can't stay in their fucking homes. They have to go to a business and pay to sit somewhere, and eventually they're like, I can't listen to these drunks make jokes. Bring in a professional. It's very, very simplistic.
Yeah, or also like a bunch of tourists, and you walk around with a pamphlet that says Chris Rock was here once, and then people believe that, and then you fucking go there. Did
you ever play the London Comedy Club for Inky Jones?
No, but I'm jealous of him because
I'm jealous of him too. That man might, I think, probably is a millionaire.
Yeah, because he was just like, I don't pay anybody, and everyone was like, well, comedians shouldn't go there. And I knew a bunch of people that were like, yeah, I go there all the time.
Oh, yeah.
There's people there, they've no idea what they're about to see, but you still get in front of a crowd, and yeah.
There's a comedian in London named Patrick Monahan, who was one of these guys where was so obsessed with the amount of shows he did that he didn't give a fuck. And so he would just do that guy's show, and the agreement was, you have to give me 40 quid. When I show up, I go immediately on stage, and then I can leave. And I use that as a model for when I used to do the greatest shithead comedy club in all of London, Monkey Business.
Monkey Business.
With Martin Besserman. Please welcome a man. One of my favorite introductions. And then also another one. Your next comedian, he lives in Finsbury Park, and he rides a bicycle, which I respect. He is sweaty, so he may still be sweaty. I've forgotten his name again. Okay. And then he just walked on stage.
Yeah, he was the best. One time he confident was like, ladies and gentlemen, this man has been on David Letterman. He's one of the finest comedians we have here in London. Alu Bell pointed at a guy. Guy went on stage, did his set, got off stage. Alu Bell was in the washroom. It was not Alu Bell.
I really respect
that. And then the guy was like, and then everyone was like, why'd you go on stage when he said Alu Bell? He's like, because he doesn't know who I am. I would have had to wait till like midnight. And I was like, this is the best. This is like good.
That's the best thing I've ever heard in my life. Yeah.
Oh. Monkey Business was good because the guy, so the Martin Bestman is crazy. He would call our friend's wife just to like flirt. I mean, it's not flirt, it's harass. Just to harass her, and then ask for her husband to be put on the phone so he could give her husband spots.
That's the most insane thing I've ever heard in my entire life. What's good about that house is that could have been two different people, and either person, it's very funny. That's what I'm really enjoying about it.
And it was good. It was really, really, really good.
How I would only get spots with that guy is if I was in the area, I would walk into the club and say, book me. And then he would go, all right. And then he would randomly give me dates. And what's even crazier is I always was honored whenever I'd walk in and he'd be like, yep, you're here now. Go ahead.
This is the thing about stand-up is like, if you just watch stand-up and you just see the like purposely funny people, that's great and like really good, but you should do a bit more work and find out who the crazy people are. Like if you're a really big fan of stand-up comedy, go to like just type in like the city you live in comedy community and see who posts the most in there and see them. That's like a ginger, like a palate cleanser. When you're like,
yeah, that's a great way of describing it.
Used to seeing like hyper competent comedians who maybe you don't think are like the funniest people. Then you're like, well, here's what a fucking crazy person's like, and you're like, okay, well now I need to see some comedians again.
Also, those rooms really teach you how to hold people's audience attention, because if you can tame a room this is their introduction to comedy, a sweating man in a fedora has come up and vividly described his dinner, and then just brings you on even though you're not the next act, yeah, you can really do well in a club where people are excited to laugh. That's the thing that people don't realize about that, where it's like, why would you do those rooms? And it's like, well, I've learned a skill somewhere else. Yeah. Oh, my God. I had to do, because times are tough, I did cruises the last 2 years. Thank God I lived in England. England prepares you for so many, like, because in North America, audiences at least want to hope you're good, as opposed to in England where it's like, let's kill this guy. So it's just doing like,
it was like those trial. Have you seen the American clubs where they do those? They tell the audience not to laugh.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then it's like it'll be a YouTube video, and then at the end, it's a prank. You were funny, but it was hard not to laugh. Like, you're really funny. That's what England is. It's like, defeat me. If I laugh, you've defeated me.
Yeah.
And if the noise comes out of my mouth, I'm gonna be so fucking angry.
Yeah, then it's gonna be hard to get me to laugh again. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I understand.
Unless
completely.
You're doing like legit like puns out of a book that's 150 years old. Anyway, John, I'm gonna pee. We'll finish up. One sec.
Dylan, for those of you who don't understand, he's not peeing piss. He's pissing blood.
So a couple more things. Next one. Have you seen Joe Rogan's dad talk about Joe Rogan?
I did not. I didn't even look this up because I wasn't sure if you just wanted to wildly speculate on Joe Rogan's dad.
No, Joe Rogan's dad, along with his his half sister, are like, basically his dad's like, you don't call me. He was talking a bunch of shit about me because he just said my dad was an abusive cop. He would beat the shit out of people. And then, like, you know, a big thing with little boys is hitting. And you always have to be like, don't hit people. Don't hit people. Don't hit people. Don't hit people. And then his dad was like, good, hit people. So in my favorite thing, which is unspoken, and I check the comments on, if you look at any video of Joe Rogan's dad speaking, he is always head to toe in Pittsburgh Steelers gear.
I was going to ask.
So funny.
I was going to ask him, like, is this the right guy? This man who looks like a walnut, who's dressed head to toe.
He's 80, and he also goes like, so he's like, you could believe, because his daughter's like, that's not the man we grew up with. You're slandering this man's name. His daughter says, we're the real Rogans, which is nuts.
Love it.
And then his dad, where you're like, okay, kind of on his dad's side until his dad does some long form podcast with someone else. And his dad goes, he calls him gay by saying, I'm pretty sure he has sugar on his dick. which is like a craze, like, which is funny because it's like within the sphere Rogan's in, obviously. If you said that to somebody, they'd be like, that's funny. You host the show now. Joe's done. Joe Rogan Sr. is host now. Yeah.
Here's the thing with it is it's like, it's like, hey, you want some answers to some questions? Here's his dad. And you're like, yep, meeting the parents is like reading the back of everyone's book. You know what I mean? This doesn't seem like a thriller. I guess there's some twists ahead. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, all the mindfulness he does, all the working out, all the like stuff that is like, I like the woods. All the,
yeah,
like quiet and
what he's basically
he does
like,
is just because he was exposed to that man for 5 years.
Yeah, I like sensory deprivation tanks, also known as a place with a door that I can lock. I like the woods, aka a place where I can see all directions and I'm aware of my surroundings. I like weed. It helps me forget. I like guns. They protect me. I always keep my back to the wall during the podcast in case a guest is going to treat me like
in a
daddy.
car, so then there's one thing they have to break through to get. Yeah, man, and it's like, and it's the classic thing where it was one of my favorite human interactions where I, you know, as he speaks, I'm kind of justifying to myself, like, maybe some of this is exaggerated, and then he goes like, Andy's gay, and you're like, okay.
The other thing I just want to say, when you're being petty and you're 80, I like that. Because this is you at your most mellow. Imagine you you're 30 with a 3-year-old and you're like...
Yeah, that's the thing, right?
I'm 80. He's a billionaire. I'm better than him. Why? I'm not sucking dick. That's why. That's what your energy is at 80. Okay, at 30 with a 3-year-old, you just shit your pants. You don't get no more pants. What? Yeah, fucking... You will not know comfort. You know what I mean? Shit like that, just whispering in his ear. I do not like you, and Santa is dead, and I fucked his corpse.
Yeah, I think what's the like those things where they there's some Instagram account that's like just seniors who are still of sound mind, so they're like 90 but they're still going good, and they ask them questions like, looking back at your life, what do you wish you had more of? And then it'll always be like, family. I wish I hadn't chased money so much. I wish I had enjoyed life. Stop to smell the roses. And then just one guy being like, my son's queer. Like, that's not really an answer to the question of what do you wish. I'm like, I wish I spent less time with my fucking gay son. It was a terrible 3 years before I left.
I also think it's really telling the second family. I always remember someone telling me this story. Weird day. I was with my dad at the mall. We ran into my sisters. Those were his kids from his first marriage. They took their mom's side, so we haven't spoken to them. They said hey to me, tried to say hi to my dad, and said, that's your grandson. And he went, we don't talk, and just walked away. I understand why he did it. And you're like, what the fuck? The fuck? You know what I mean? One of those interactions. That's why I also love the daughters that are in the video. You're slandering this man. You're slandering this man who's holding a steak knife for no reason while I'm talking.
Yeah, you're slandering this man who's 80 head to toe in Pittsburgh Steelers gear and is calling you gay? How dare you? You can see the daughter also, when he calls Joe Rogan gay, just look at her dad and be like, all of my argument just flew out the window in one.
Well, it's my wedding once again. Yay. Right down the... Yeah,
I only hit him because he's gay.
I don't even like the Pittsburgh Steelers, for the record. I'm just... I'm a Eagles fan. I'm doing an impression of my son. Get it? Get it? One of those guys.
There was another one, too, where he's like... I think he said, they were like, well, there's allegations you hit him. And he's like, yeah, because I did.
Love it. I got to tell you, there is nothing better... There's nothing better than
refuting that allegation. I did not just hit him with fists.
I mean, I don't think he said he hit you with stuff from around the house.
Oh
yeah.
Oh, then yeah, he's right. Yeah. Okay. I thought we were talking about bad stuff I did.
Yeah, we're talking. I thought this is the part of the interview where I get confronted with the things that were my mistakes. My mistakes were letting him live.
Have you ever? This might be weird, but have you ever seen a wrestler New Jack? They saw me hitting my son. That's what that is.
Hey, do you think
I used to play
Joe
music
Rogan,
and I'd staple him? It was good.
Like Joe Rogan and RFK Jr. ever play the game of like, who is a worse dad? And it's like, well, my dad refused to hang out with any of his 10 kids, and he just constantly was touring the country for no reason. I knew my dad for 4 years, and I'm really into pool as a young man. But I don't know what that means, but you definitely had it worse, Joe. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's so funny that like, and I've said this before, it's like, you know, people used to heap sympathy on me because my dad died when I was 5. But then it's like, as I go through life, it's like, I mean, like in most cases, it's like he could have lived. You know what I mean? There's so many worse things. Like dead dad, especially, that stinks. But like sometimes they live and are themselves. Oosh.
Here's the thing I've realized about being almost 40: the amount of people I grew up with that existed because their parents were trying to prove something to their own parents, and then realized I hate this, and just now I have to raise a child. I would say it's 75% of the kids I went to school with. Looking back, I was like, your parents hated you and they were just doing it because they thought that's what was right. Oh, man. Oh, no wonder your house was so boring.
All right, last thing. Daniel Puder talking about the Kurt Angle situation. Here's my favorite thing. Daniel Puder is on TikTok. If you're a wrestling fan, get on there because he does my favorite thing where every single video he's making it while at a place. Like his kid is running around in like a jungle gym and it's like, Dad, my neck. And he's like, yeah. I'd say Maven was a bit of a piece of shit.
It's the craziest TikTok account I've ever been on because also every video, it loops back to somehow him being wronged. Also, he shoots them terribly. He's been making so many and he's not getting better at anything. It's amazing. Like every video, he's a little too close to the camera. I just want to say one thing about shaving your body. I never liked that because that's women's work. And you're like, okay, Puder.
I do understand where it was like, oh, right, now Kurt Angle's going to look cool. But then he was like, fuck you. And he just locked in a Kimura. And then they had to count a face. That's still one of the craziest moments in wrestling because it's like he could have broken his arm. And then, yeah, the agreement is you don't do that. But more so it was like they really didn't think that Kurt Angle could lose, and then it was this whole thing where they hadn't been taught that like there's a way to beat up a wrestler, I guess. It was very interesting.
And what's interesting, what I love more than anything is when wrestlers think that they're real boys. Like, it's that thing of like, no. You're not. You guys, you are the most extreme the theater club at the high school gets. But that doesn't make you the same as the rugby team. And there is nothing like the CM Punk UFC career is a true highlight of this, of just like, I'm fucking tough and I'm going to hurt you. No, you are not. A man who has done nothing in the UFC cleaned your fucking clock. And it's the same thing.
Yeah, you got the second fight he lost to a legitimate journalist. A journalist who I really like. The story of the journalist is great. He gets put in the UFC just so he can fight CM Punk. And because he's just an MMA journalist who's like a hobbyist. Like, he's fought before, but he's a journalist. And what does Dana White hate more than anything? Journalists. And then he has this contract that they keep on trying to buy him out of, but it's more money for him to fight. So he just kind of like goes and does his jazzercise. And then they're like, you're up against, Habib Nurmagomedov's brother, who's just him in a wig, and we've paid him $17 million, so he's agreed to do steroids for this fight. And Mike Jackson's like, yep, sure, I'll fight him. Like,
that's fine. All good. I can pay too.
I'll get beat up again.
Yeah. And you're like, all right, well, that's fine. Oh, listen, can I just say this? Dana White's the best villain because he's so easy to thwart. Like, Dana White's a continual aggression towards the media that's just him still angry at Ariel Helwani is maybe my favorite thing ever. If you watch every press conference, there's always one question that's legitimate that he's always like, oh, be better. And they're like, he's just asking about the revenue share. Fuck off. Oh, it's really, really good. But here's the thing that I just want to say about Daniel Puder. No man looks more like a gym teacher than this man does.
He does have a great gym teacher origin story. He could legitimately beat you up, probably.
This is what I'm saying. I'm like, well, this is a man who makes champions at a high school. This is a man who doesn't like basketball. He thinks it's bad. He is the coach. We're still winning.
Yeah, my favorite thing is
wrestling moves to basketball, which, by the way, if we want to make basketball better, introduce the ability that if you do not have the ball, you're allowed to suplex or powerbomb the other players. That's the greatest sport ever.
You ever heard about Dagestani basketball?
I have not heard of Dagestani basketball. Are you telling me that they've combined?
Habib Nurmagomedov and his training partners, they just run around with a ball, and then if you have the ball, the rule is you can be suplexed. So it's just them like suplexing each other and then the other thing is you can fight people if you have the ball. So it's
how the fuck are we subjected to the bullshit that is slap fighting when MMA basketball is right there for all of us? Do you know how good you'd never not be watching that sport? What's going to happen? A man's dying. There's no way. First of all, there will be multiple 100%. Deaths. Yeah.
You'd have to do it on what people think a wrestling mat is, a pro wrestling mat is, where it's it's like a trampoline. You'd have to do it on. Actually, you couldn't because people would just fucking spike up their fucking heads. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know how you'd even
they
do
should
it.
Just make dog. But the thing is, Dana White, and this is the thing about this is the whole story of the UFC. If you want to get into it, is it's all in this one thing where. I forget, it was like Trevor Whitman, who's a coach in the US, who's a coach for a bunch of fighters, came up with like a really good version of the gloves for MMA because they always have these problems. Like fights always gets stopped and stuff because people get poked in the eyes because you can't really like, you can close a fist or do this and it's like really hard to be like in between. But he made up his own gloves that fix all those problems. And they won't adopt them because the UFC wants the patent. They want to buy the patent off of them because they don't want to like make these gloves and then popularize them and they go everywhere. So that's the problem with Dana White, where it's like he owns the sport of slap fighting. I guarantee it's like they make up this dumb Dagestani basketball thing and then Habib's like, no, I own like a friggin', because he owned a MMA company for a bit. He's probably like, no, I'm going to keep the name, like whatever. But Dana White probably like owns power slap as like a thing. Like every time you slap someone, you now owe, it's like, that wasn't like a joking slap? You know, owe me $5.
He does. What is very funny, though, it's one of the many things that he's getting hit with, like the internet frustration rod, is because he went on these podcasts being like, biggest sports brand in the world. And everyone's like, no, it's not. It's not bigger than Real Madrid. And he's like, oh, fuck. I didn't know that was a thing.
No, he'll say Power Slap has more views than everything or something. And people are like, no, it doesn't. And then he'll look them in the eyes and be like, it does. It's like,
it does. No,
I look at the analytics. Like, we can count. Like,
that's the thing. There is... I got to tell you, it is the new "My Girlfriend Lives in Canada" is you need to look at the analytics. Is actually the biggest clip.
Well, it's fucked because like the power slap thing. I feel bad for the people that do it.
Yeah, I feel bad for the doctors that I'm sure are employed that are stood there being like, hey, just don't go out there. How about this? Just don't do it. Like, hey, I don't know if you know this, but this billionaires have figured out a way to make money off of you losing the hearing in one side of your head. So
the craziest thing is that was on television. Like
Correct.
Power Slap was on like ABC. Like they used to be like, I don't know, a teal shirt. That'll offend people. And they're like, yeah, man, kill a guy with a bat on TV. Bat
But this
slap.
is the thing that no one's acknowledged is like media is to the point where I'm like, I think that if you and I just looked up the LinkedIn of the president of ABC and we're like, can we have a show? He's not getting right back to us, but someone's reading that email, and that didn't used to be true. Like George Clooney isn't going to make another movie. Him and his wife are going to do a podcast about pottery or some shit and make $8.5 billion. Like, no one wants to see things anymore. They want to see the people that they used to watch pretend to be something be Martha Stewart. Remember Snoop Dogg's music? I love his music. Now, watch him eat souffle at the Olympics. Why? Fuck you. That's why.
Yeah, we just got to come up with like the new Murder, She Wrote. We just got to find a new Angela Lansbury and fucking get some Murder, She Wrote going on.
This is a little peek behind the curtain. As some of you may or may not know, I love a procedural. Let me tell you what show I fuck with on the road. That's the new Matlock with Kathy Bates. It's fucking not good. It is not good.
Of course it's not.
They both, because first of all, Matlock, they're like, you know what was good about Matlock? He was a quirky, weird lawyer. We're not doing that shit. You're like, no, fuck you.
John, may I?
Yes.
Matlock starring Kathy Bates. Is it called Fatlock? You can use that. Yeah, that's her ass when she eats fucking wings.
Whoa. I don't even know if this is working. Hope it is.
It is, yeah.
Good.
Fatlock?
I mean, Fatlock is... We'll see you next week. Thank you very much. Yeah, we're not topping Fatlock. How are we supposed to top it?
All right. Thank you guys so much for listening. Join us on, I don't fucking care.
Yeah, do whatever you want. Or don't.
We're probably just going to keep on doing this and then talking about wrestling because it's our natural state.
Yeah. We're going to do that. Eventually we're going to fucking start
John,
broadcasting
do you have anything else
naked.
to add about vaping inside?
Then we're going to start jacking off. Then we're going to start an OnlyFans. The worst OnlyFans ever. Still talking about pro wrestling and mucus, but well, yucking off.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to reverse cow guy, a friggin' builder. And you have to pay me to stop. That's the whole thing.
I'm just going to go, my new Instagram idea is I'm just going to go around the world stand-up 69ing various statues.
That is, so do you think that this is the female version of I could be, because like there's like that stat where like, I forget what it is, but it's something great. Like 1 in 3 men will not give themselves no chance against a gorilla. They'd be like, yeah, if the gorilla catches me when I'm pissed, it's far.
I'm going to say this. It doesn't surprise me because of the amount, and you pointed this out, which is how crazy is the world that people thought Mike Tyson could beat someone in their 20s at boxing. Like, it was that you were like, yeah, I'll take your action. Mike Tyson's not winning. That, like, the amount of people that were like, Tyson's got this. I'm not surprised that people are like, I might be able to get a gorilla. And it's like, you cannot. You will not get a gorilla. Have you not seen the movie Gorillas in the Mist? She was on the gorilla's side and they still shot her. I don't really understand that movie.
So anyway, my point is the female version of that is, oh yeah, if I get in trouble, I'll just start an OnlyFans, where it's like every woman thinks that like fucking they'll start an OnlyFans and just like have $1 million a month. It's like, no, it'll be like starting a podcast at this point where you're like the market is so flooded with people doing things like this. You're going to be like, yeah, it was really rough when I was having sex with my dog for 8 subscribers, but now I've got 50. So
yeah,
up it to having sex with my dog about 3 more times a day. I'm going to be pretty soon I'm going to be part-time at TD Bank.
I really want to say that you're wrong, but I think you're very much right.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like the amount of women who I'm like, oh, then I got to show my feet on OnlyFans. I'm like, listen, man, do you know how, like, this is from people who two that like are into feet, my friends were like, "Do you don't understand how nice the feet are on OnlyFans?" Like, I've never looked at feet and thought anything, but like they're like, dude, these women are getting like 3 pedicures a day.
That's what I mean.
Or something.
I'm actually going to have to disagree
whatever
with
a lot of pedicures is. I'm doing a podcast with a cut on my nose that my son gave me. I don't know what looking good is anymore.
First of all, you don't need to know what looking good is because you do. You're rocking a blue light shirt. That's it. You don't even drink.
That's true. Yeah, I'm rocking a blue light shirt that my wife got me because my 6-month-old puked on the athletic shirt that I got. Like literally, as I was setting up, he went, "Bah." I was like, all right, that's a choice.
You know what I like about your second son? He's doing what we all want. He's saying what we've all been wanting to say for years. You need better athletic wear.
you need a fucking Oakland. You can't wear an Oakland athletic shirt and a Blue Jays hat.
Yeah, you cannot. Pick a
choice.
fucking side. First of all, sell the team. Sell the fucking team.
Hell yeah. Anyway, yeah. So John's going to start. Well, actually, John has an OnlyFans. He's going to do a hard pivot.
Hey, I'm going to do a hard pivot. I mean, I was shocked to discover the amount of a bunch of the comedians just put their clips on private. And a bunch of pervs paid to see the clips, and they're like, "This is just stand up." And then they were like, "Yeah," and then they were like, "Fuck you."
Yeah, I mean, I can't believe that. Like, I tried to pivot with RedTube, and then people were very upset. But
I mean, still one of the greatest moments in comedy. It was a genius move. Put your stand up on Pornhub.
It was RedTube.
It was also on Pornhub.
No,
wasn't it on Pornhub?
No. Pornhub is for my. I would never lead the good people of Pornhub astray. Pornhub is for my real porn I did.
I mean, I got to tell you, I've never laughed harder than when you told me that, hey, you know that there is now a advertisement for a cream to make your loads bigger on Pornhub, and every time I see it pop up as an ad, it makes me laugh.
Dude, the worst thing I ever saw was I'm getting into it one time, right? My pH balance is through the roof, as they say.
Go ahead.
So, and then one of the ads on old PH was for a radio station. And then I swear to God, it's a girl with 2 guys flanking her. And she's like, "I know you look like you have your hands full, but you should really listen to Edge 102. And I was like, this is the worst. Because it's like, so your strategy to get people to listen to terrestrial radio is to interrupt people trying to jack off and then make fun of them?
It worked, though. You listen to Edge 102, don't you? 102.1.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of call-ins. But like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, and it was like only for a couple days. Because it's like, what? Like, you know how incels work? Like,
yeah, no, they don't.
This woman's going to be like mailed severed dicks now for years.
I mean, and by the way, she probably already was. Like, it's one of those things where imagine being a female radio host. Imagine the calls that she's getting. I'm doing it. I'm doing it. I'm doing it.
Oh, dude. I'm doing it. And it's still going.
I'm a drugger. I'm going to kill you.
One of the craziest things is some guy did an interview about the manosphere and on, crack.com. When they were releasing sketches, and they had a sketch where the premise was, what if these websites were real people? And it was like 4chan harassing Facebook was the main thing. And there's a lady that played Facebook, and a dude wrote the sketch, and like the main editor of the site was a dude, and all this thing. So when 4chan, some people from 4chan found out about it, they got really mad, not at anyone else, but just at the girl who played Facebook in the sketch.
Of course.
Yeah. You're like, yeah, it was me.
Yeah. I mean, I wasn't the main organizer of it, but it was like I made the point. Like if we're gonna get anyone, we better get the girl.
She shouldn't have done it.
Yeah, she should have disagreed. She should speak for us because she's our girlfriend. Why? Well, she's on screen on the computer, and I look at the computer, so she's my girlfriend. I don't understand what's going on here.
Anyway, John is he has upcoming nuptials again, and it is to the last girl he saw on a screen.
I will be having a traditional 8chan wedding, which is I'll be shooting up the church as soon as we're done.
Yeah, is there a 16chan yet? Just like
I hate you so much. Let's start 16chan. It's just a photo of a guy shitting. It's just a photo of a guy shitting, and you just send it to other people, and you're like, yo, it's back.
No, 16chan is like the only way to interact is through a final message before you commit suicide, and you have to be a real suicide. That's the only way.
I have some bad news for you. That's just 4chan. That's just so much of that is 4chan. Like, again, like people are like, oh, let's make a dark version of 4chan. It's like, they did it. It was done a long time. Like, it's like, whoa, it's so crazy how vitriolic the internet is. I'm like, quite frankly, it feels a lot calmer than it used to because it's all spread out as opposed to where it used to be like, oh, this is a lovely meadow that has a nuclear waste dump right next to it.
All right, that's it.
We're done now. Fat Lock. Should have ended on Fat Lock. So good.